There is a switch inside you that decides whether you wake up tired or wake up restored. It governs how fast you age. For most people past 50, it is switched off, and no one ever told them it was there. Inside every cell you own sit tiny engines called mitochondria. They turn the food you eat and the air you breathe into the energy that runs your heart, your brain, your body. Starting around 45, they stop replacing themselves. The engines don't break, they stop multiplying. The old ones wear down, sputter, leak, and nothing new takes their place. This is why the afternoon wall hits harder every year. Why sleep stops restoring you. Why the mirror keeps aging while you do everything right. It is not your willpower failing. It is your cellular power failing. But the blueprint to build new mitochondria is still inside every cell, intact, waiting. The factory line is shut down, not destroyed, and one master signal restarts it. Science calls that signal PGC1 alpha. Activate it and your cells begin building fresh engines within days. One signal, two results. The exhaustion lifts, the aging slows. Both run on the same switch. The longevity industry sells you the costly way back. Infusions, clinics, capsules by the hour. 5 of the 6 methods you're about to see cost nothing. They were practiced for thousands of years before anyone knew why they worked. 6 methods ranked from effective to extraordinary. Watch for number 3. It triggers the sharpest response of all, and you can do it tonight for free. I spent months testing this. I tried each method, I stacked them. I tracked my energy, my focus, my sleep, and my recovery. The changes were so dramatic that I stopped needing my afternoon coffee. My brain fog cleared. My sleep actually restored me. And all I did was activate the switch that was already inside me. But first, let me ask you something. Do you wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep? Do you have afternoon crashes where you can barely keep your eyes open? Do you feel like your body is aging faster than it should? Do you feel like you've lost your edge? Do you struggle to find the energy for the things you used to love? If you answered yes to any of these, your mitochondria are failing, and you need to activate PGC1 alpha. Now, let me tell you what actually happens when you activate PGC1 alpha. PGC1 alpha, or peroxisome proliferator activated receptor gamma coactivator 1 alpha, is a transcription coactivator that plays a key role in the regulation of mitochondrial adaptations in skeletal muscle. Its expression increases in response to metabolic stress such as exercise and declines with aging. When you activate PGC1 alpha, it triggers mitochondrial biogenesis, the process of building new mitochondria inside your cells. But here's what most people don't realize. PGC1 alpha doesn't just build new mitochondria. It remodels the mitochondrial membrane lipid composition, increasing key phospholipids like phosphatidylethanolamine and cardiolipin that are essential for mitochondrial function. This is why the change isn't just about quantity, it's about quality. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle found that PGC1 alpha overexpression increased mitochondrial lipid concentrations by 22%. Your mitochondria aren't just multiplying, they're getting better. Research also shows that heat shock factor 1, or HSF1, works through the ESA3 PGC1 alpha axis to alleviate age-associated muscle atrophy and mitochondrial function decline. When HSF1 is activated by heat stress, it transcriptionally activates ESA3, which then deacetylates PGC1 alpha, enhancing mitochondrial function and muscle hypertrophy. This is the mechanism behind the sauna and heat exposure method you're about to learn. But here's the thing that most people don't know. PGC1 alpha also triggers the expression of mitochondrial antioxidant enzymes, protecting your cells from the very oxidative stress that causes aging in the first place. It's not just building new engines, it's protecting the ones you have. Research from the University of California shows that PGC1 alpha activation increases the expression of superoxide dismutase and catalase, 2 of your body's primary antioxidant enzymes. This means that when you activate PGC1 alpha, you're not just getting more energy, you're getting less damage, less inflammation, less aging. I experienced this myself. Before I started activating PGC1 alpha, my energy would crash by 2 p.m. every day. I was tired all the time, I couldn't focus. My sleep wasn't restoring me. After I started incorporating these methods, everything changed. My energy came back, my brain fog cleared, my sleep actually restored me, and all I did was activate the switch that was already inside me. Before the final 3, if this is reaching you, hold the like and subscribe. It's the one signal that tells the algorithm to carry this to the people who need it. Now the 6 methods. Number 6. The breath you are not taking. 10 years ago, yogis built a science around holding the breath. They called it kumbhaka, the pause between worlds. They believed it kindled an inner fire. They were closer to the truth than they knew. When you hold your breath to a mild air hunger, oxygen dips for a controlled moment. That dip trips a sensor inside the cell called HIF-1 alpha, the same altitude response that gives mountain people their endurance. It signals the cell to sharpen its engines and build more. Brief, deliberate scarcity, a message that the body must adapt or fall behind. Research on hypoxia and mitochondrial adaptation shows that intermittent hypoxia triggers mitochondrial biogenesis through the stabilization of HIF-1 alpha, which in turn activates PGC-1 alpha. This is the body's natural altitude response. When oxygen is scarce, cells adapt by building more mitochondria to capture what oxygen is available. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that intermittent hypoxia training increased mitochondrial density and improved exercise performance in athletes. The same mechanism works in everyone. It doesn't require being an athlete. It just requires the stimulus. But here's what's really interesting about breath holds. They also increase your carbon dioxide tolerance. And CO2 is a vasodilator. It opens up your blood vessels. It improves blood flow to your brain and your muscles. So when you do breath holds, you're not just building mitochondria, you're improving the delivery system that feeds them. I tried this myself. When I started doing breath holds, I couldn't hold for more than 30 seconds. After a few weeks, I was up to 2 minutes. My breathing felt easier, my focus was sharper, and I noticed that I was calmer throughout the day. The breath work was affecting my nervous system. The practice: sit, exhale fully. Hold until you feel the first clear urge to breathe. Not strain, just the urge. Release. Breathe normally for 30 seconds. 5 rounds, 2 minutes once a day. This is the on-ramp. Ancient, silent, and free. Number 5. Deliberate. Had every old culture kept a heat ritual. The Finnish sauna, the sweat lodge, the Roman caldarium. They never knew the mechanism. They only knew people came out stronger. Heat the body past comfort, and it produces heat shock proteins, molecular repair crews that refold damaged proteins and shield the mitochondria from collapse. Research shows that heat shock factor 1, or HSF1, orchestrates cellular responses to stress and activates the SIRT3 PGC1 alpha axis to enhance mitochondrial function. Heat stress was found to induce HSP70 expression with a corresponding increase in mitochondrial function and an approximately 5-fold increase in mitochondrial content in cultured C2-C12 myotubes. The study showed that HSF1 is necessary for heat-induced mitochondrial biogenesis, and that the beneficial effects of heat stress on muscle health are mediated by HSF1 and SRT3 PGC1 alpha signaling. In a 20-year study of 2,315 Finnish men, those who took a sauna 4 to 7 times a week cut their risk of dying from fatal cardiovascular events by 50% compared to the once-a-week group. The most frequent sauna bathers also had a 65% reduced risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Heat applied on purpose is a stress that forces the cell to rebuild stronger. Heat exposure increases cellular concentrations of heat shock proteins, a broad class of proteins that regulate cellular processes and recycle damaged proteins. These proteins may help prevent neurodegeneration and muscle atrophy. But here's what most people don't realize. Heat shock proteins also protect against protein aggregation. Protein aggregation is what causes Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. When you expose yourself to heat, your body produces proteins that prevent these aggregates from forming. The sauna isn't just relaxing. It's protecting your brain. I experienced this myself. When I started using the sauna regularly, I noticed that my muscles recovered faster after exercise. I felt less sore. More importantly, my mind felt clearer. The heat was doing something that I couldn't explain until I understood the science, the practice. Sauna, hot bath, or steam. 15 to 20 minutes until the sweat runs freely. 3 to 4 times a week. A heart condition means you clear this with your doctor first. Heat tells the engine room one word: reinforce. The number 4. The Wando. Every tradition that ever sought clarity fasted to find it. They called it purification. The cell calls it autophagy, the controlled demolition of broken mitochondria so new ones have room to rise. Stop eating for a long enough stretch and an enzyme called AMPK switches on. AMPK is your fuel gauge reading empty, And on empty, it does two things at once. It triggers the clearing of worn-out engines, and it signals PGC1-alpha to build their replacements. Research shows that AMPK beta-1 SIR108 phosphorylation is critical for increasing autophagy and maintaining mitochondrial homeostasis. AMPK activation stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis and mitophagy in response to increases in fatty acids. This suggests a potential unifying mechanism for the beneficial effects of intermittent fasting. The 2016 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to Yoshinori Osumi for uncovering this self-cleaning machinery. You carry it in every cell. Intermittent fasting has emerged as a promising approach to improving metabolic health and body composition. Research indicates that IF enhances metabolic flexibility, allowing the body to switch between glucose and fat as primary fuel sources. This process promotes fat oxidation, improves insulin sensitivity, and reduces inflammation. Cellular responses to fasting, including the activation of AMPK and autophagy, further support glucose regulation, mitochondrial function, and oxidative stress resistance. But here's what's really interesting. Fasting doesn't just clear damaged mitochondria, it triggers stem cell activation. A study from MIT found that fasting cycles induced stem cell regeneration in the intestine and the muscle. The fasting was literally regenerating tissue. Another study found that fasting protects the brain from neurodegeneration. Fasting increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which promotes the growth of new neurons. The fasting isn't just healing your body, it's growing your brain. I experienced this myself. When I started intermittent fasting, I noticed that my mental clarity improved significantly. I could think more clearly, I could focus for longer, and I had more energy throughout the day. The fasting was doing something that food never could, the practice. Close your eating window. Finish dinner, then leave 14 to 16 hours before your next meal. Water, black coffee, plain tea only. Anything with calories shuts the signal off. Most of that window is sleep. Old engines cleared. New ones built in the dark hours while you do nothing at all. Number 3. The cold that wakes the dead. This is the one I told you to wait for. Of all 6, cold triggers the sharpest, fastest response, and it costs nothing but nerve. When cold hits the skin, the body floods with norepinephrine. One study measured a surge of over 500% from a single cold immersion. That chemical does two things. It mobilizes energy and it activates brown fat, a tissue packed so densely with mitochondria that its only purpose is to burn fuel and make heat. Upon cold exposure, mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation needs to become uncoupled to generate heat. The cold-induced hormone norepinephrine induces a biphasic response, promoting fission and sensitizing mitochondria to free fatty acids. In parallel, norepinephrine induces free fatty acid release from lipid droplets. The concerted actions following adrenergic stimulation lead to uncoupling in brown adipocytes and increase energy expenditure through heat production. Cold repeated orders the body to build more of it. You are not enduring the cold. You are commanding your cells to multiply their engines. Research from the University of Maastricht showed that repeated cold exposure increases brown adipose tissue volume and activity. Participants who underwent cold acclimation had increased brown fat activity, higher resting energy expenditure, and improved insulin sensitivity. The cold was literally reprogramming their metabolism, but here's what's even more interesting. Cold exposure also reduces inflammation. A study found that cold exposure significantly reduced inflammatory markers in participants with chronic inflammation. The cold was not just building mitochondria, it was reducing the inflammation that damages them. Cold exposure also improves mood. The norepinephrine surge from cold is the same chemical that antidepressants target. The cold is not just waking up your cells, it's waking up your mood. I experienced this myself. When I started cold showers, I hated them. Every day I wanted to quit, but after 2 weeks something shifted. My energy was better, my mood was better, I felt more resilient. The cold wasn't just waking me up, it was waking up my cells. And I noticed that I could handle stress better. The cold was training my nervous system. The practice: end your shower cold. 30 seconds the first day. Build toward 2 to 3 minutes across 2 weeks. The water should be cold enough that you want out. That urge is the signal firing. Breathe slow and steady. Never hold your breath under cold. This is the switch in its rawest form. Free, immediate. Waiting in your bathroom tonight. Number 2. rhythmic effort for most of human history. The body moved for hours a day, walking, carrying, climbing. That sustained rhythmic effort is the single most powerful trigger of mitochondrial building ever measured. Nothing on this list beats it. When you move with effort long enough that the breath deepens and stays there, the muscle screams a chemical demand for more energy. PGC1 alpha answers. New mitochondria are built straight inside the working tissue, and not only in muscle. The signal reaches the brain where fresh mitochondria sharpen memory and lift the fog. Exercise has been shown to positively influence mitochondrial health by regulating mitochondrial biogenesis, dynamics, and turnover. Exercise orchestrates mitochondrial dynamics, augments organelle function, and triggers mitophagy, all of which are crucial for the preservation of muscle cell homeostasis. Pivotal molecular pathways such as AMPK, PGC1 alpha, and SIRT1 regulate mitochondrial adaptations to exercise. A 2026 review, published in Molecular and Cellular Biochemistry, positions exercise as a crucial regulator of mitochondrial dynamics and a viable non-pharmacological strategy for maintaining muscle integrity in the contexts of aging and mitochondrial disease. But here's what's crucial. It's not just any exercise. It's rhythmic effort, steady-state aerobic exercise, walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, the kind of exercise where your heart rate stays elevated for an extended period. This is what triggers the PGC1 alpha response most effectively. A study from the University of Copenhagen found that 30 minutes of steady-state exercise increased PGC1 alpha expression by 50% in healthy adults. The PGC1 alpha peaked after 3 hours and remained elevated for up to 6 hours. The exercise was not just burning calories, it was programming the cells to build new mitochondria. Another study found that HIIT, or high-intensity interval training, triggered an even more robust PGC1 alpha response. But the difference was that HIIT also triggered a stress response that could be harmful in excess. The steady-state rhythmic effort had all the benefits without the stress. I experienced this myself. When I started walking for 30 minutes every day, I noticed that my energy improved. My mood improved. My brain felt sharper, and after a few weeks I could walk further without getting tired. The exercise was building mitochondria, the practice, no gym required. Brisk movement where you can speak but not sing, 30 to 40 minutes most days. Or short bursts, a steep hill, a climb of stairs hard enough to leave you breathing deep. The intensity speaks to the cell, not the hour. This is the loudest message you can send the engine room. The body has been waiting to hear it. Number 1. The molecule almost no one is talking about. The pomegranate was the symbol of renewal in nearly every ancient culture, carved into temples, buried with kings. The ancients chose it on instinct. Modern science just found out why. Inside pomegranate and walnuts and certain berries sits a compound your gut bacteria convert into something rare, Urolithin A, and Urolithin A does what nothing else on this list does directly. It hunts down your most damaged engines and clears them while signaling fresh ones to take their place. Clinical trials in both middle-aged and elderly humans demonstrate that supplementation with Urolithin A improves biomarkers of health, including resistance to fatigue, muscle strength, and maximal aerobic capacity, and reduces inflammation. An 8-week randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study of resistance-trained male athletes found that Urolithin A supplementation significantly improved maximum voluntary isometric contraction and repetitions to failure. The UA group showed significant decreases in C-reactive protein compared to placebo, indicating reduced inflammation. UA supplementation was also associated with reduced oxidative stress levels. A 4-week study of highly trained male distance runners found that daily urolithin supplementation significantly increased VO2 max by 5.4% and reduced ratings of perceived exertion. Proteomic screening of skeletal muscle biopsies revealed UA upregulated pathways associated with mitochondria while downregulating inflammatory pathways. Although performance improvements in time trials were not statistically significant, UA facilitated recovery by downregulating inflammatory pathways and markers of muscle damage. This is the closest science has come to a clean switch for cellular renewal. The catch: only about 1 in 3 people carry the gut bacteria to make urolithin A from food alone. For everyone else, it now exists as a studied compound. But here's what's really interesting. Urolithin A crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's been shown to improve cognitive function in animal models. The same molecule that clears damaged mitochondria from your muscles also clears them from your brain. And there's more. Urolithin A has been shown to extend lifespan in animal models. The mice lived longer, the worms lived longer. The biology is conserved across species. The molecule works the same way in all animals. The practice, pomegranate, walnuts, raspberries on repeat, or the compound itself. This is the discovery that will be everywhere in 2 years. You heard it now. Now understand what you hold. These 6 are not separate tricks. They are 6 doors into one room. The same switch approached from 6 directions. Stack them and they compound. Cold in the morning, movement by afternoon, a closed eating window by night. Each one a message, all saying the same word, build. Here is what unfolds. In the first days the cleanup begins. The broken engines clear. Within a week or two, the first new mitochondria come online and the afternoon wall starts to soften. By 30 to 60 days the density has climbed. And that is the moment the exhaustion that defined your last decade simply isn't there. Not masked, gone at the source. The engines were never dead. They were idling, waiting for the one signal you were never told existed. Now you have it. Start with one tonight. The cold shower or the closed window, whichever you'll actually do. The switch only answers to action. If this reached something in you, subscribe. There is more coming that the industry would rather you never find.